Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay. I am excited today to be interviewing the wonderful Leanne Clune. Clune or Clooney?
Clune.
Clune. To hear her share with us her entrepreneurial journey and some gold nuggets and tips that she has amazing stories to tell us. Now, I'm going to introduce Leanne in a minute. However, that's why I'm looking away. I'm going to read her introduction on my phone. However, I just want to start by saying, and I like to do this each time now, it's the very first one I did in series 2. I lost the beginning completely. I lost this part, which was a bit upsetting for me because I'm running these podcasts. I ran them about a year ago and I interviewed a number of beautiful entrepreneurs. And then I had a break from it and I decided to do them again, to start them up again in honor of my dear dad, my dear father, who passed away in April this year, sadly. And I miss him so much. You know, I went into a shop recently to get some birthday cards to take to New Zealand next week when I'm going. And the first stand was full of Father's Day cards, and I looked at it and I went, oh, I'm not going to be getting a Father's Day card for my dad this year, which was, you know, another realization that he's not here anymore. And my dad was an entrepreneur. The reason why I decided to run this series in his honor is because he was an entrepreneur himself all my life while I was growing up. Although the word, I didn't know that word then. The word hadn't been bandied around like it is now. It was probably there, but we didn't talk about it much. He was a businessman who started a number of different businesses from zero and always looked for ways to, you know, make a good income and have a good life and bring us up in the way that he wanted to bring us up. And so he was a wonderful man. He was a man before his time. He was just so much before his time. He treated women equally. He believed that all women and all girls could be taught and to do the same things as boys and guys. And so he brought us up, me and my brother, me and my sister and my brother. He brought us up teaching us the same things. So he taught us all, you know, how to ride motorcycles, for example, and how to do practical things when he was doing it. He was one of those men who was a master of every trade, and he always learned how to do every trade. And then he was such a perfectionist that he would never bring a tradesman in to do something. He would do it himself. So he was the plumber, he was the carpenter, he was the motor mechanic, or automotive technician they call them now. He was the one who did everything, wallpaper, painting, the whole lot. And every time he did something, he taught us how to do it, you know, if he was at home or even at work. And I didn't know until recently when he died, my mum got up and spoke at his funeral, which blew me away because I didn't think she would have the courage to do that. And she did a wonderful talk. And she talked about when he was young and when one of his first jobs was in a bike shop, you know, a push bike shop. And he was assembling push bikes that were bicycles that were imported, because in New Zealand, you know, pretty much had to import everything. And so he learnt to assemble these push bikes, and then later they decided they would do motorcycles. And so they started to import motorcycles, and he learnt to put them all together because they all came in parts and boxes. And that my mum told us that he used to get girls coming in wanting to buy motorcycles. And so he not only sold them to them, but he taught them to ride. And this was so funny because actually for many years he was teaching girls to ride, but he didn't have a license himself. He knew how to ride, but he didn't have a license. And my mum said that when they were first courting, you know, when he was about 6, they were about 6, when she was 16 or he was 16. So in those days in New Zealand, you could get your license at 15. I got my motorcycle license at 15. that he used to come and visit her, and he actually lived like 180 degrees across the river. And so she would wait outside. He would visit her on his motorcycle, and she would wait outside, say goodbye to him, wait outside, and then listen to him, his motorcycle going all the way home, around and across the bridge and over the bridge to his house. And when she heard him putter into his driveway, then she would say, oh, he's home. And she said often there was a traffic cop in those days, we called them, now they're police, a traffic cop who would wait for him at the bottom of the hill on the road to his place, and he would pull him over knowing he didn't have a license, and he'd pull him over and he'd take him home. And so my dad was also one of those people who said, you don't have to follow the rules. So I grew up knowing that one as well. And so he would take him home, and then Mum said after a while of doing this, one night he picked him up and he took him home and he said, come and see me tomorrow and I'll give you your license. And so that was how my dad got his motorcycle license. So in honor of my wonderful, beautiful father, who gave me so much love and support and taught me a lot of what I do today in business, the values, the being of service, and also, you know, things like double entry accounting, all sorts of things he taught me that I still use today. I'm running these series again. So, Leanne, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here. That was a long introduction. And now I'd like to introduce you, Leanne Clune from Live Legacy. I'm so excited to be interviewing you. You are a wealth strategist and you help business owners create financial stability, which is amazing, so that they can unlock their time to focus on creating a business and a life they love, which you and I are on the same page, and on purpose for profit. So that's really, really important. These are really, really important things that most business owners and entrepreneurs want to know. So on that note, Leanne, welcome to our podcast. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Gold Nuggets in honor of my beautiful father. And over to you to talk about some of what brought you here today and what you've been through and what you've learned, and a few of your gold nuggets and tips we'll talk about later.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's awesome to be here today with you, and it was really beautiful to hear the story of your father. My father also has passed away, and he'll come into what I'm going to talk about today as well, because he was a huge influence in my life, as we've talked about before, Karen. So I know that we talked about before that this journey that we have into entrepreneurship, it's not always straightforward. And I actually am now, as you mentioned, I'm a wealth strategist. I live legacy now, but I didn't start out that way. So when I was in school, I was very academic. I was very strong in the maths and sciences. And so I naturally progressed into university into a science degree. 4 years later, I was a fully qualified marine biologist. So I started my career in natural resource management. I actually got a graduate position at the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resource Management in Western Australia.
Wow.
Now, this was, for all intents and purposes, this was a fantastic position for a science graduate, and for a marine biologist graduate, most definitely, because it's a very competitive field. And normally to get any qualified position, you must keep going on and studying honours, masters, really to that PhD level. I'd had enough of being broke, a broke uni student, and I decided it was time to work. So I embarked on my career as a natural resource management officer in the government department. And, you know, it was great money for me after being a broke uni student for 4 years. Every fortnight I felt like I was winning the lotto when I got paid. So I wasn't used to having any kind of income at all. And I was also given very highly subsidized accommodation and a car. And this appeared to be any science graduate's dream. But secretly, I was really unhappy. Now, this is the part where I feel a lot of listeners and your audience could probably relate. And I know we talked about it, Karen.
This is so common as we're doing something that we think we should be doing, or that's what everyone does. And we get onto that treadmill of working in a job that might be good money, but it doesn't give us joy, or it's not our dream life to do something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So I remember every Sunday afternoon, I felt the dread wash over my body, and my state would change, and I would get anxious, I'd get antsy, I'd get argumentative with my husband at the time. I was picking fights, and I was dreading going into that office on Monday. Now, this was not a hard job, Karen. This was not a hard job, but the problem was I was out of alignment for me.
Yeah.
This was not on purpose for me.
Yeah.
And I kept going, and I actually thought something was wrong with me, because everyone was saying to me, Leanne, you're living the dream. I had friends.
You're so lucky. You should be so happy. You should be so grateful.
Should be happy. You've landed this great job. It's permanent. It's government. You get to have this house for, I think it was $60 a week. It was nothing. But I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I was anxious, and I was completely unfulfilled. I was counting down the hours in this job, Karen. I would stare at that clock and count down the hours.
And unfulfilled is that critical word, because how many of us are fulfilled in what we do?
True. It's a great question. And I knew in my heart that I was born for much bigger things.
Yeah.
But I felt stuck, and I didn't know how to transition from this after I'd spent 4 years studying. Yeah. And this was meant to be the ultimate. And I didn't know how to transition, because I thought this was the start. And so what happened was, as often does happen, is there was a tragedy. And my father, my dear father, died with absolutely no notice, Karen. Like, it was an instantaneous death, the family was told. He had a massive heart attack. There was no lead up. There was no warning. He was never ill. He never went to the doctor. He was always happy. He was always joyous, cracking jokes. My father went to work one day, and he died instantly without any chance to say goodbye to anyone.
That's so hard.
He was 53 years young.
So young.
And that completely changed my whole world.
Good.
Because I had been slogging at a job that I did not like, that was making me depressed, anxious, and very unfulfilled, because I thought that I had to do it, because I had spent 4 years studying to get this role. So now I had to work. That was my mindset at the time. But when my father died, I reflected back on my father and his personality. And my father was always happy. He was always joyous. He made us laugh. He was a storyteller. And he literally was fulfilled. He was one of the rare ones that was happy and fulfilled. He loved his job. He loved his life. He wanted for no more. So I do have the satisfaction of knowing that my father had no regrets, which is amazing. Obviously, he would have wanted to live longer, but he had no regrets. And so I started to realize that I needed to change my life, and I was the only one that could do it. No one else could do that for me. And I knew for sure from this terrible tragedy that I had experienced that we don't have time. We never know when our time is up. It rocked our whole family. It shook us all to the core.
Yeah.
It shook us all to the core. I didn't even know that you could die instantly like that. I honestly didn't. I mean, I was 27 years old at the time.
Wow.
I didn't know that my father was in his work tractor and there was a CB radio in it. And he didn't even reach for the CB radio to tell anyone that's how it was. So that's why we were told it was instantaneous. And so all I wanted was to live a life happy and fulfilled like my dad, because I realized that he had the magic pill.
He had it all. So tell me, Leanne, you know how you said, I thought that I had to do what I was doing because I'd studied for 4 years and that's where I was, that's what you do. What made you have that belief? Was it
I think it was a conditioned belief that I had in me. You know, it was for a lot of years, a lot of lead up, you know, go and get a career as the females were really pushed into having a career, and you can have everything. You can go to uni, you can get a career. And, you know, definitely my mother, she always wanted to study teaching as a young teenager. And she was told, no, you need to go and get married. You don't have a career. And her brothers went on and they were able to and offered the opportunity to go to university. So my mother really pushed me to go to university. But look, I was heading down that track anyway, Karen, because I was very academic. So, you know, that's
so it was
fine.
a societal belief, really.
Yeah.
It was a societal belief where you had, for some reason, formed that belief that you have to work here because you've got this degree and you've got a good job that lots of people would love, and so you had to stay there, which is what many of us don't realize, is that we have these beliefs that are actually don't serve us being fulfilled and happy and, you know, joyous in our lives. They don't serve that. And we might have loved, you probably loved it when you first got it, but after a while you realize that you're not fulfilled or you're not happy or you're not complete in some way, and yet those societal beliefs just come at us and say, no, this is what you do, you know, this is how it is. And unfortunately we have those beliefs that don't serve our purpose and our vision, and it's until we clear those, we get stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I knew, I've always followed my intuition. I've always been very connected with my intuition. And but I was dimmed. I must admit, I did get dimmed when I went into corporate land. It did dim my light. And when I started to come out of that, I was like, right, you know what, like the shock of my dad dying.
Yes.
Okay.
Made you reassess everything.
Yeah, I need to change my life. I cannot keep going like this. What if I've only got 53 years? What if I follow my father's trajectory, I have to change. So I started to study finance because I've always been just naturally gifted with finance. I've been able to look at things and reverse engineer and work out how to do the finances. For some reason, it's just like a natural, I've always been a bit of a nerd.
Well,
So
I wouldn't.
it's like a natural progression.
Yeah, you've always been interested in it, yeah.
Yeah, I've always been interested in that. And I knew, because now by this stage, I was 5 years into corporate land. So I was used to getting the paycheck, right?
Yes,
I was
yes.
used to it. I was used to not being on uni student minimal wages.
Of course.
And although I was very strategic with my finances, but I knew that I had to create financial stability for myself because I knew I was going to do this transition. I knew I wanted to do a business. I knew I wanted to do my own business to create time freedom for myself. And I knew that I had to create financial stability for myself because the paycheck wasn't going to be there every fortnight. And I didn't know when it was going to come in. That's the nature of entrepreneurship, right?
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest fears that stop people from actually moving into their own businesses or self-employment. Or,
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, and many times it's rightfully so. And so what I did was, at the time, my husband at the time and I, we had a business loan. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money every week. And I knew that I had to do something about that business loan because that was blocking me from transitioning to my own business. I had to work to get the paycheck to pay the business loan, and that was for some machinery that we had, and a ute loan. So I created a strategy. This is just the wealth strategist in me coming out before I was qualified. It's just a natural thing that I seem to know how to do. And I created a strategy and I reduced the repayments on that business loan by 85%.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't even think twice about it, Karen, right? Because it's just how my brain works. And I told a few people and they're like, how did you do that? That is just phenomenal. Well, yeah, and that is crazy. How did you do that? And it's when I started to realize I do have a gift with the financial, like the financial, in the financial space. And so I reduced it to 85%. And then with that also, I created a buffer. So I had a sum of money so as I didn't have to make money immediately in my business. I knew I wouldn't, or it would be sporadic. So I created that. That was 20 years ago, Karen.
Wow. That's fantastic, Leanne.
Yeah.
Well done you, because many people don't get past those first few years because of that not being realistic about how long it's going to take for that money that replaces whatever else to come in.
Yeah. And this is now the foundation of what I teach in the Live Legacy Now program, because creating financial stability is the cornerstone and the first step, one of two of first steps in being able to go into, your purpose and live a fulfilled life on purpose. On purpose, for profit, we say.
Yeah.
So that was my journey, and you know what, like I knew that I wanted to be in my own business before I had children. I knew that, and it was actually 2 years to the exact date, unplanned, that I had my first child. 2 years after my dad died, to the exact date.
Wow.
So Bailey Clune, his birth date is the anniversary of my father's passing.
Wow.
2 years later.
That's amazing.
Another turning point, right?
Yes.
Just incredible, the synchronicity of that. So I knew that I had to run my own business to be able to buy back my time. And look, you know, I know sometimes I worked all night so as I could be with the kids all day. And I was younger then, but I was on purpose.
Yes.
And your capacity increases when you're on purpose.
Yes.
You can get more work done. It's not like work. I wasn't counting down the hours. I was enthusiastic, engaged, inspired. I was happy, you know. It's so much different. It's the polar opposite to being stuck.
That's such a great story. And you've answered my first question as to why you got into business. What the second question I wanted to ask you is, what do you believe is the most important thing in business for you, Leanne?
Yeah, for me, it definitely comes back to being on purpose and serving.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Being in alignment,
Having that
being on purpose. Yeah. That's huge.
I guess a person who's really like you, living that dream life, living that being on purpose, you don't feel like your work is work.
No. In fact, you know, I would do this whether I got paid or not. It's just something that I love to do. I love to do it. I naturally do it. It's something that I naturally do. And for me, when I look back now, so, you know, I've had 20 years in business. It's not been without its challenges, that's for sure. Even being on purpose, you still, of course, you have your challenges. But my eldest son now, Bailey, he's 19 years old. And actually, Karen, this morning, he got through to the semi-final rounds of America's Got Talent with a team of 30 Australian dancers.
Wow, that's so exciting.
He's living his legacy now because he's watching me.
You must be so proud of him, and you ought to be proud of yourself.
These are the ripple effects that can happen from living on purpose for profit.
Absolutely.
These are the changes and the generational changes that you can make. You know, he is the happiest kid. Honestly, he's living his dream at 19.
That's amazing. Leanne, what in your view is the best way to grow your business today for anyone? And that's one of the tips I was hoping you could answer. Was for someone else who's growing their business, what is, in your view, the best way to grow a business today?
Karen, I am, as you know, I'm a huge one for co-creating and collaborating with aligned, conscious business owners. And I feel that is the fastest way to grow your business. So, you know, also, as well as I was saying, I've got a collaboration book coming out. It's called Legacy Business Builders. That's coming out in 2 weeks.
Exciting.
I'm very excited about this one. And it's 10 conscious entrepreneurs who are on purpose for profit. They're telling their stories. And we're all from different industries. We've collaborated for quite some time. And it's just an incredible project, Karen. This collaboration, a lot of us have gone and created great friendships from this group. Actually, the person that I run Live Legacy now with, Gareth Benson, he was actually an author in the book. So that collaboration, that book project turned into a Live Legacy Now collaboration. I mean, these are the sort of things that can happen. You go into unlimited possibilities.
Yes. Guess what? Gareth has just joined us.
Oh.
He says, excited about legacy business builders. Gareth Benson. Is that who you just referred to?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. He said, hi, Gareth, excited about legacy business builders. Can't wait for this book. And then he says, Edward Zia, yes, amazing work.
So you never know. And I have done a previous book as well. It's called Radiant, Visionary Women Igniting the Light in Others.
Yeah, I've seen that.
About that one.
I might even have a copy of it.
Yeah, you probably have.
Yeah, someone I know is in it. I can't think who offhand. Yeah,
Okay.
So those collaboration books are quite popular now, and good on you for doing them. It's an amazing way, like you say, to showcase each of you out there in a way that is interesting for readers. Yeah, great chat, Karen. Thank you, Gareth. Nice to meet you. It's a great way, to showcase and help each other like we are doing. That's the collaboration and the co-creation. And I always say, when we learn to co-create, and of course, one of the best co-creation partners there is the universe. So, where we work, of course, is with our co-creation with the universe, with our thoughts and the frequency that we operate at, which you're doing, Leanne, and having other co-creators as well is so much more effective than anything else when we want to grow our network, grow our real connections, and then serve people, because that's what being in business and living our purpose is about. Oh, Julie's just come on as well. Julie Tang, Diamond Nuggets. Thank you, Julie. Do you know Julie, Leanne?
Julie, no. Hi, Julie.
Yeah, great. Thank you for joining us. So, Leanne, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
You're right.
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. The next one I'd love to ask you, and then I think you might have some questions you want to ask of our audience. So I would love to ask you, what would be your biggest challenges in growing your business?
Karen, I think for me, and I know it's different for everyone, for me, it was balancing kids and my business. And, I'm a very conscious person. I'm a very conscious parent. I started my business so as I could be there for my kids. And then my business started to get really busy, and I'm like, I got the tug of war happening, as we all do, particularly us females in business. So it was a challenge, but it was also the blessing, because there is no way that Bailey would be on the world stage right now if I was working in a 9-to-5 job. For a start, I would not have been able to get him to the dance studio for years and years in the lead up to this. And it takes a tribe, right? It takes a community. I say you can't do business alone. We're not meant to do it alone. You have to be careful with who you work with. You need to be aligned with them for sure. But it takes a tribe. It took a tribe to get Bailey to the United States
Mm.
on the world stage at America's Got Talent. You know, it's taken a tribe and a community and collaboration and connection with other like-minded business owners to be able to create Live Legacy Now, to serve other business owners, to lift them up as well.
You know, that's a really good point, Leanne, because a lot of us, particularly if we're perfectionists, not pointing fingers at anyone, we try to do it ourselves, everything ourselves, because, you know, we're perfectionists and no one else is good enough, or we don't trust other people, or we can't delegate, and we find that juggling act where we have to wear so many different hats, mother, accountant, marketing, promotions, sales, and then the actual whatever we do, we have to wear all those different hats, and we find that juggling act often is almost impossible to get through. And so I love that you're talking about having teams, having collaboration with people, being part of a team so that we don't do everything ourselves. And I think that's a really key tip and gold nugget is to everybody out there is to think about your team. Who is your team? You know, they don't have to be a paid member of your team. It could be your accountant who you pay or your bookkeeper who you pay. They are part, by that I mean they don't have to be on the payroll as such, but they're part of your team. They're part of your business. Anyone who you contract to do something in your business is part of your business, and you're collaborating with them. So I think that's a fantastic gold nugget and point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I agree with you, Karen, for sure. And, you know, it's connection as well. As entrepreneurs, we often are missing that deep connection. And a lot of people don't understand us, Karen. Like, I'm sure you've experienced that yourself. And I'm sure the listeners have experienced that.
Being on our own. Yeah.
Or a different breed.
Being unsupported. Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes a tribe, and collaborating with the right people who are on purpose is a huge elevation of everyone involved.
And also people who share your vision, you know, who see what it is and believe in what you're doing. Believe in you and believe in what you're doing and share your vision is so important.
Yeah, I know. I call it unconditional support. It's unwavering support.
Yes.
And it's that support that, you know, I've got your back. I see you, and I've got your back no matter what. Even if I think you're making a big mistake, I've got your back, and I will be there for you, and I'll support you. Now, to have that in business it is such a huge advantage. It's everything. It really is. To have even just one person that gives the unconditional support. That is definitely what I've given to my son Bailey. I have, you know, some of the things he's said to me over the years, and I have gone, what on earth are you talking about? And my immediate reaction is to just go, that is ridiculous. And I've stopped and I've breathed and I've said, we'll do whatever it takes, Bailey. We'll do whatever it takes. That's what I've said to him since he was a tiny kid. We'll do whatever it takes. I say that to all of my kids. And he knows I'm always there. No matter what, I'm always there. Even if I don't agree with what he's done, I'm always there. Unconditional. It's unconditional. That makes an incredible difference. One of my authors speaks about it in Legacy Business Builders. Jacene Greenwood from Rococo Botanicals. She speaks about the power of unconditional support from her husband, David, now. And she was married, you know Jacene, right, Karen? Yeah. So she's been married twice previously, and both of those husbands, she says this in her chapter, both of those husbands did not support her. They did not support her. Jacene is brilliant. She is amazing. She is such an incredible businesswoman.
Yes,
And
she
then
is.
she sure is. She absolutely is. She started her cosmetic business, which turns over millions of dollars a year. She started it from her kitchen sink with
Yes.
her husband at the time, telling her to go back to be a nurse because she was embarrassing being a beauty therapist.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, that's her story. Now,
Wow.
she's not she, in my eyes, Jacine's not a beauty therapist. She is a cosmetic genius and a chemist genius. She is an
Yes, she is.
absolute skincare genius. And she knew it, and she was on purpose. So, yeah, definitely unwavering, unconditional support will elevate you exponentially.
Totally agree. And remember, we can be our own support person as well if we're careful and notice the kind of conversations we have with ourselves and with our unconscious or subconscious mind, because that is a huge part of what causes us to, move forward or not. So we'll go into that later, though, another time. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about Leanne. And Leanne, I know you've got some questions you want to ask. If you can either ask them now, or you can tell me the last question I have for you is, what is your vision for your business and or life for the next, say, 5 years and further, that you haven't quite reached yet, your big vision? What is it that you're going to do in the next 5 or so years that you haven't done yet? Because I know that you'll want to do more, even though you're living that fulfilled life on purpose. You will want to do more, being Leanne. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, that's another great question. Thank you, Karen. And, that's why Live Legacy Now has been birthed. So the vision is, it's a movement, and it's helping entrepreneurs and, the 9-to-5 escapees as well. That was my story, to really get on purpose, to give them that support, connection, and help, and to get on purpose to build their business on purpose for profit. So that is the movement. It's going to be a worldwide movement, and we're going to be elevating these business owners. We want to see business owners have a fulfilled and happy and joyful existence. We want them to create a business and a life that they love, because we don't get a second chance, Karen. My dad didn't get a chance to even say goodbye. We never know when we're going to go. We know we're going to go. We don't know when.
Exactly.
We've
got another person come on, Leanne. I want to say hello to it. It says, amazing Miss Deb, amazing XR. And she says, I love your story, Leanne, and the action you have taken. You are such an inspiration. I so agree. Thank you so much, everyone, for making comments. I know my daughter Hannah is also on here. She sent me a message. That's why I was naughtily looking down at my phone. However, she hasn't sent any messages yet, but I'd like to say hello to her too in New Zealand. So we've got a few people attending now, and I'm sure many more will watch the replay. So Leanne, we're going to wind up. However, I want to ask you two things. One, I think you had some questions, or you want some questions you wanted to pose to people. If you do, now's the time. And secondly, how can, another LinkedIn user has come on. Doesn't say who they are, but it says LinkedIn user, great story and purpose. Very inspiring. Thank you. Awesome. I just have to pop off. And Hannah's just come on and said hi. So hi, Hannah. Thank you for joining. I hope you've been able to get some gold nuggets and inspiration here from Leanne too. So Leanne, I was going to ask you, how or what would you like to share that people could get in, to help people get in touch with you, or have you got something you want to give to our audiences? What would you like to do? It's over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Karen. So I want to ask a question of everyone that's watching, everyone that's here live. You can write a comment. And if you're on the replay, definitely write a comment, because Karen and I will come back and respond to these comments. But I want to ask you this. How do you want to be remembered? What is your legacy? And why? What's stopping you from living that now? What's stopping you from living that now? I wonder if some people can write in the comments now, because I'm very interested in the answers.
Oh, Hannah's written a question. How did you get your loan payments down to 85% less? And how did you establish the financial buffer you mentioned to see you through until your business started making money consistently? And Hannah's asking, that question.
Okay, so
you might
it's
want to
different.
answer it now, or you might want to answer it later. Directly, it's up to you.
If I've got time to answer it now, I can do that.
I think we can. Yeah.
So, thank you for the question. It's a great one. Thank you. And look, it's different for everybody, right? So everyone has different financial circumstances, and it's absolutely different for every single one of my clients as a wealth strategist. What I had 2 investment properties at the time, and I was able to restructure those investment properties that had grown in equity, and I was able to get rid of reduce the business loan to a residential interest rate. And also, and it wiped off, it was $300 a week at the time. This was over 20 years ago. That was a lot of money then, $300 a week. And I reduced it down to $50 a week. So it's absolutely a huge saving. So
by restructuring it and having it on a mortgage, having it against the property at a much lower rate. Is that right?
Absolutely. It was all strategy. So this is...
and it is all strategy. And as you say, many people don't think outside the square like that and realize that can be done so easily, and it's sitting there available and it hasn't been made use of. So Gareth,
every person's different.
Others.
Yeah. What was that? Sorry, Karen.
Oh, Gareth just added empowering others, exclamation. Oh, I think he's answering your question to Hannah. He's saying empowering others. So, yeah. And Hannah said amazing, very clued up.
Thank you. Yeah. So we do have an offer today. And look, normally at Live Legacy Now, we don't offer this as a single offer, but we're going to do it specifically for those that are watching today or watching the replay. And I'm doing that for you, Karen, because you gave me the opportunity to come on. So very grateful. Thank you. And we are offering listeners an on-purpose, for-profit strategy session. This is a 90-minute tailored strategy session with myself and my business partner, Gareth, who's online as well at the moment. And like I say, we don't offer these outside of our high-ticket coaching items. So, but today we're going to offer, it's worth $999, and we're going to offer it complimentary. You need to get in touch with me. You can write in the comments on purpose for profit.
Wow.
You can message me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at leanne@livelegacynow.com.au. Gareth might be able to put that in the comments, actually. Someone might be able to put that in the comments. Leanne@livelegacynow.com.au. It will be tailored to you, And we're only offering it for the next week because it's something we don't offer.
So that's Leanne at livelegacynow.com.au.
That's right, yeah. And you can
put it in the
also
comments, so
Oh,
hopefully
thanks, Karen.
everyone can see it.
Okay, great.
Oh, it's gone in from. Oh, wow, it's gone in twice. Awesome. Thank you, Leanne. That's amazing.
The purpose is to uncover, to create, to look at what you might be able to uncover. Look what I uncovered that changed the whole trajectory of my life 20 years ago by reducing my repayments by 85%.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now and that started my whole finance business because people were like, can you look at my finances?
Yeah.
And it just boomed.
Yeah, it's actually what you don't know. People don't realize. They don't know what to ask.
That's right.
And it's not what you are. It's not what to ask that you do know. It's what you don't know. And when people get mortgages, loans set up, with all due respect, their financiers don't always set them up in a way that's the most beneficial. Or later on, they don't review it and say, hey, you've got this equity here and you've got this credit card debt here and you could actually repay it and be at a much lower rate, etc. So things like that are very, very valuable. Yeah, very, very valuable.
Absolutely. And then the next part of that is adding in, recurring and residual income streams inside and outside the business. But that's our next step.
Yes.
So first, look at creating financial stability.
And that's so true too, Leanne. Recurring passive or residual income streams, as well as something that we don't get taught about at uni or whatever. And most people don't realize they are possible, they are out there, and they are worth investigating at least, if not worth doing. So that's fantastic. That's really generous of you. I'm just going to quickly run through before we go. Is there something else you wanted to say, or I'll run through the messages? Anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm happy for any questions.
Okay. Yeah, any questions, put them in. I'm just going to read. Amazing Step said, I want to be in. Remember, you asked the question, how do you want to be, or what's legacy, or what do you want? I want to be remembered for inspiring youth and for empowering them to follow their dreams. That is a fantastic goal, Miss Deb.
Wonderful.
And then Gareth. Okay, and then Gareth said, answering your question on how to be remembered, amazing, Miss Deb, your purpose shines through. Fantastic. Awesome. And then what else have we got? Julie Tang said, help people create wealth and build passive income to get their time and freedom back. So Julie's got a similar goal to you to be remembered for.
Great.
Tailored strategy session with the amazing Leanne Clune to discuss purpose in your business. Gareth's put that in. And then Gareth said, get in touch with Leanne. And Leanne at livelegacynow.com.au. And Hannah said, what an amazing, clever woman we are listening to today.
Thank you,
Hannah. And she said, Leanne Clune, did you say we could also comment here to let you know we're interested in the strategy session?
Yes, absolutely. Comment,
because it's on LinkedIn, these comments you're in are either Facebook or LinkedIn. So Leanne will get them if you. What was the wording you used that you wanted people to?
Just whatever you want. If you want to put strategy session, whatever. I said on purpose for profit. That's what it is. It's an on purpose for profit strategy session. So it's not a cookie cutter session. It is tailored to you. Everyone's circumstances are different. There's no one size fits all. These are tailored strategy sessions.
That's amazing. That's a very generous offer, Leanne. I hope many of you will take that up. And on that note, we are out of time. We've gone over a bit. However, I felt it was important to do that. I'm not sure if you've got something else on, Leanne. I think you mentioned you did. It's now 1:03. So let's say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Those of you who joined live, those of you who will watch the replay, I'm sure it will be watched again and again by many on either Facebook or LinkedIn. And we've just got Alex coming on saying thank you very much for your time. So there's people here who are on who don't comment, and we don't know they're there. Oh. So Alexa said thank you very much for your time. Thoroughly enjoyed hearing your story. On purpose for profit, love it. Thank you so much for the generous offer. Would love to participate in a session. So you've got a couple of people interested already, Leanne.
Wonderful. Great. Looking forward to connecting with you all. Thank you, Karen. And thanks to all the listeners here and on the replay. It's been incredible.
Yes. And I agree with you, Gareth. He said, well done. He said, outstanding gold shared. And I agree with that. So much gold shared. So thanks again, Leanne. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you on here today. And on that note, thank you everyone for coming. We're going to end, and hopefully we will hear you. We will have you all again soon on the next Entrepreneurs Gold Nuggets, or later on my Meaningful Conversations with Anna, which is coming up at 12:40. Just let me check for you, because it's also on LinkedIn, and it's coming up at 1:45. Bye, everyone.
Thanks
have a
so
beautiful
Thank you.
day.
Bye.
Thank you, Julie.